in New York City, they have one great rule about Central Park: 7 to 9 in the morning, off the leash for a dog.
Oh, that's
Wow.
So my dog runs every morning.
That's
We're out
fun.
there around 6:45. We run for about half hour, 45. I don't run.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch
But you're
your
in
dog
great
run,
shape, though. You look
Yeah,
like you're
you
in
are.
great.
You are.
I'm all right. I
But-
walk on the golf course. I don't use carts
That's good.
Good.
Yeah, get the
unless
steps
I'm in a
in.
mountain.
But that is fun watching your dog run in the dewy grass in the morning, just like
And
let
they all
loose.
kind of roll over.
Oh my God, it's so fun to watch.
And I figured out how not to have him attack other dogs. Since he's a retriever, he's a golden retriever, I put a ball in his mouth, and he won't let go of the ball, so he can't bite anybody.
Yeah.
Genius. That's really smart.
So he runs throughout the park with a ball.
But he's
in
not
his mouth.
gonna. He's not gonna let go of that thing.
Not gonna let go of the ball.
snap at
he
another
may,
dog.
He may bark, a muffled bark, but that's it. So why didn't your shows last?
There so many different reasons, just like internal things, and then also you get like
did you
said,
work for?
Like you said about Comedy Central, who I now work
Right.
for on the radio, and then MTV. So they didn't play it enough. It wasn't on. I want to do a show. If I ever do a talk show again, it cannot be one time a week. I've
Oh, it was only
because
once a week.
and if they don't replay it, the
can't-
audience doesn't get to know
can't,
you.
Yeah, you
And
can't
trust you.
You can't gather an audience once a week.
That you don't have the time to, and they don't give
unless
you the
you're
time.
some variety show.
Yes.
And I'm
Right.
not. You see, it's very interesting. For instance, in daytime, they've tried so many actors, comedians, people who were never ever broadcasters as talk show hosts. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just. I'm very interested. For instance, next year, Kelly Clarkson is going to do a talk show, and so. It's going to be interesting as to whether that works.
gonna
Ellen
be a
works.
piece of shit.
Ellen
works.
worked.
Ellen worked
Rosie O'Donnell worked
for a while.
for a while. I loved that.
But then she
but they
got
come and go
she
so-
got dark.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. It went. Yeah, it got a little weird at the end.
So
I guess.
that
Yeah.
was
But in the heyday, that was a fun one. But it is these things come and. I mean, you must see them come and go all the time. Can you tell when something's gonna work? What's the?
for instance,
it
I mean,
factor?
there are a lot of first. I knew Jane Pauley wouldn't work.
Whoa.
I knew Meredith Vieira wouldn't work.
What?
Well, first of all, you have to understand these were people who made their mark and made their reputations in shows that were an ensemble. The Today Show is an ensemble. No, I'm telling. Hey, Matt Lauer, right? Biggest name in the world. Not there. Still, Today Show works. Bring on the next person. Plug them in. It's an ensemble.
Right.
You go alone.
It can exist without
Yeah.
someone, and it. Yes. Okay.
You go alone. You've got to be a different person than you were when you were that ensemble, and so it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
They didn't develop that skill as a solo host, or the audience isn't going to want to see them in that role.
I guess. I mean, you never know how far you can get that way unless you do something solo.
Yeah.
You
You got to try.
You got to do something solo before you know you're going to work. I mean, and it took me a long time. First of all, I mean, look, I'm a news guy. I never got along with my co-anchors ever.
Really?
I mean, look, years and years ago, I was the second banana to a woman named Connie Chung at the biggest station in L.A., and guess what? They fired me. It didn't work.
You guys met at a station?
Oh, yeah.
Working together?
Oh, sure.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
awesome.
Was
Oh,
that
yeah.
so fun
Oh,
in the
well, it
early
was-
days
well,
of like no one knew?
First of all, I started before her. I'm much older than she. Well, not much. I'm significantly older. And so I was a pretty big name in Washington, D.C., my hometown. She was hired as the assistant to the news director, the secretary, okay? The first job that opens up in a newsroom is a weekend writing job. She wants the job. The news director says, you can't have the job. You're my assistant. You're my secretary. You can't. Yes, I want the job. Well, you can't get the job unless you replace yourself. She walks out of the newsroom across the street into a bank, looks at the first woman teller, and says, "You want to be in TV? Come with me." Replaced herself and became a big star.
Oh, my
Fast
God.
forward, and nobody really knew who she was. And then all of a sudden, we're going, "Wow, that took a lot of guts." I mean, that's really aggressive. And so she becomes a star. She goes to L.A. She becomes the big big anchor. and then I'm hired as her second banana, her co-anchor. That didn't work. And 6 months later, the new general manager fired me. And then so she took such pity on me, we started to date.
Wait, you dated after?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So she was. Nothing
awesome.
happened before.
No, I mean, no,
Was
I
there
just
any
knew her.
flirtation?
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
there had to have been
Had
a
to be.
little something.
Well, Connie, she had become a pretty big star at CBS in the Washington Bureau during Watergate. I mean, she was the big star during Watergate. And so she went to L.A. and became a huge hit. And she really did. And she was the only person I knew in that whole West Coast newsroom. And so when I got fired, she took pity on me.
Well, how did that feel? I mean, you
Getting
lost,
fired was the worst thing in my life.
But then you start
and the
dating
best,
the person.
And the best thing in my life.
And the best thing.
Because
Yes.
the greatest fear of anyone in this business is getting fired. That's the worst fear because A, you don't know what it's going to feel like. And B, will you ever work again?
Yeah.
And so when you end up having the feeling, at least you know what it's like. It's shit.
It's shit.
Yeah.
It's shit. That's so true.
And
you
by the
gotta
way,
go through it.
I believe that that's all part of my personality that I bring out. Hey, I've had my lows,
Yes.
I've been fired. I've laid down on a couch and wondered to myself, should I be in this business? I mean, what the hell? I mean,
Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear that you've had that thought.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and then what you do, you end up watching TV, and I'm watching all the newscasts. I'm saying, shit, I'm as good as that guy.
Yep.
I can do that story. I mean, what the heck? And so I got a job in San Francisco about 3 or 4 months later, and then we started dating and had a commuting relationship between L.A. and San Francisco.
Wow.
But
Nice.
we dated for 8 years before we got married.
Well, that's
Old school.
smart.
But not exclusively. She says I dated people I couldn't even remember their first names. And she dated nothing but stars in Hollywood.
Oh, really? I love this. That sounds fun.
Yeah. So that's, I mean.
So before you got married and settled down, you were together and you would see each other when you could, but you were
Exactly.
just like, hey,
No.
we're in different cities. Things are going to happen.
Exactly.
I love it.
I love it.
There was no, in fact, she said to me, she would say to me sometimes, well, maybe we should get married. And I said, no, I don't want to. And then I would say to her, well, maybe we should get married. And she said, no, I don't want to. And then finally she called me up and she said, we can get married now. I said, why? She says, because I found a dress.
So she called it in the end.
6 weeks later, we got married.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
And that was 34 years ago.
That.
Wow.
And then where did you move after that when you got married?
Well, then I was
Where'd you
back in
settle?
Washington, and she was in New York, and we commuted for the first 2 years. And then this wild Australian named Rupert Murdoch called up and said, we're going to start this show called A Current Affair. And we're going to move you to New York, and you're going to find out whether you can live with your wife. Now you have to understand, I was a local anchorman, so I would come to New York every week or two to see each other on the weekends. We're married, and I would go to the apartment building, and I would say, "Connie Chung, please. Who is this?" I said, I'm her husband, and he would call up and say, Ms. Chung, Mr. Chung is downstairs. And that's when I knew that I had a long way to go.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love your wife.
She is, she is indefatigable.
I gotta
she's the
look that
best.
word up later.
Yeah.
She's just, it's just,
It's
sounds
good. It's
good.
good, I think.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
just
good.
like, no, it's nothing can penetrate her. She is going to,
Except
she's
you.
going to march to her own drum. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Once in a while. Thanks, Chris.
No problem, man. That's why I'm here, just sniping. Nikki does I just snipe in,
Nothing
come out.
penetrates.
Some
I just-
hit,
yeah.
some don't hit.
That was a
It's
great
what it is.
story.
I have Nikki's
right.
approval.
And I got that. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
But yet she's just went after what she wanted and
Exactly.
told you when it was, nope, we're
She
getting
was
married
back
now.
to going across the street and taking a girl from the bank and saying, do you want to be in TV? Because I want
love
this
it.
job.
What happened to that girl at the bank?
She ended up being a talk show producer for me at that station.
That's what
No
happens.
way.
Yeah.
So she did.
Yeah,
you want to be
it
in
worked.
TV?
See that? See
See,
that?
you know,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all. I
So
found
go
you
work
a
at a bank.
All you bank tellers out there.
Yeah.
First of all, do they have bank tellers anymore?
Oh no, I don't know. I do
Yeah.
everything on my app.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
sending in.
they have
If it's
one
not
person.
ATM, does anybody ever go into the bank
I don't
anymore?
know.
Very
I don't
rarely.
either. I recently wrote a joke where I was like, and I went to the bank and I'm like, no one's believing this right now. Like, when has anyone in here been to a bank? And I go, I didn't go to the bank. Let me put it somewhere else. A
You were
CVS.
lost.
Yeah, CVS.
Yeah.
I mean, you do everything on the app, right? You make withdrawals.
Everything.
You,
What
you
do you-
put your check in.
Are you on Instagram? Are you on Twitter? Are you?
Yeah, all that stuff.
How do you feel about it? Do you like it?
Well, the show is on it, first
Yeah,
of all.
yeah.
And the show is, I mean,
Oh,
we've got like
so many
3 million
memes.
Facebook
Amazing.
Oh my
people and another million YouTube people. And but I have a hard time. I see a lot of people who I know who are in the business. They're on Twitter. And I wake up in the morning. I usually wake up like 6:30 to walk the dog. And all of a sudden, all these people are on Twitter. I went, what the hell are you doing this early in the morning?
Oh yeah.
Just responding to stuff. That's just, it's almost like being a shrink, I think. Twitter's become a shrink.
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Well,
Just people pouring out their
pouring out their
emotions that they
stuff.
should maybe go
Yeah.
on a walk with their dog and work out.
Right. And
Yeah.
let me tell you what happened to me. Really? Do I really want to know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's sad sometimes. You see, like, if someone's going, one of your friends is having like a manic moment, and you're like,
Right.
oh, you might want to pull this back a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
And then, of course, you better not do anything wrong because somebody's got a phone and it's on video.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how is it like for you out there? Just are people coming up to you?
Boring
getting
as shit.
Yeah.
You're getting recognized all the time and have been.
Well,
for
no,
so
I mean,
many
first of
an
all,
icon.
if it's a guy, right?
Uh-huh.
Can you say, Stan, you are not the father. Maury
Yeah,
Povich,
yeah,
write it down
yeah.
here. That
Oh,
kind
God.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of selfies. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
No, I've always, I over the years, I've known personalities who just don't do that, don't sign autographs, don't take pictures. And I'm saying, hey, man, I mean, you spend a lot of time trying to get people to look at you, get into your life, and then you just, shove them away and don't have anything to do it. So, I take, look, I'm on television 5 days a week, an hour or 2 hours a day. If they know you, that's the best of the alternative. What happens if they don't know you? That means that you're screwing up and you ain't making it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that you're being yeah.
Well, yeah, because
You're
you
doing
just
a good job.
You just taking a few seconds of your life to sign that they're a fan for
cares?
life. It doesn't matter what you do.
selfies?
It's always going to be like, I'm Team Maury.
Oh, I love
No.
selfies. They're quick. You don't
Yeah,
have to
it's
give the
perfect.
phone to someone else. You don't have to look at it again.
Yeah.
Boom, you're done.
Done.
Yeah, that's a good. Isn't that something that maybe you found since you've been famous for decades? Isn't that kind of fun? Selfies have changed. Maybe the getting recognized made it more expedited. That.
There used to be the Polaroid for you.
I think it's fun. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it's the new Polaroid. I mean, you remember the old days?
Totally is.
Stay right here,
You have to
Maury.
shake
We'll
the
see how it
picture.
looks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching that clip that you just watched. Did you enjoy it? I hope you did. If you did, thumbs up it. Why don't you subscribe? Why don't you just keep watching more videos? Let them play. Share with your friends. Go share on your Instagram story. Go, just have a great day.